All right, thanks Anna. So obviously it's pretty exciting to us to actually use Schoolbox as our own training system. I think that's going to really, expose us to a lot of the issues that you might be having using the system. I think it's really important for us as an organisation to use our own software on a daily basis as part of our process and really shorten that feedback loop back to the development team so that if we have an issue with that system, we can get those things fixed immediately and get them plugged and sorted, and you won't even need to have to tell us about it anymore. We'll already know about it because we actually have to use the software every day to do our training with you. So I think it's going to be a really useful experience to be using our own software in that process. Just for my next sort of session, today I'm going to go through, I guess, the future roadmap for Schoolbox, and today's sort of... No, this is right. So, yeah, this is right. I'm right. Don't worry, it's under control. So, obviously Sean's preempting that there is actually a new release coming out, 15.5, in this future. So this future does include a new version, 15.5, and that's just around the corner from now. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about specifically relates to that release. But there is also some more bigger picture stuff that I wanted to talk about in the long-term roadmap as well. So I wanted to call this future roadmap not just about 15.5 because it's more than 15.5. We do often talk about a year in advance about what's going to be happening. So last year you would have seen my presentation where I talked about investing in technical debt and the balance of development and how we had to balance both new features with the investment in the product as a whole. And that's really important to us. So many times we've seen products that have just become stagnant. They just exist as they do for so long and they become old products and you just keep using them. You get a few new features every year, but they don't really invest in the product as a whole. And I guess the old iceberg metaphor is appropriate here because what generally happens is that the majority of the work that we do, you don't actually see. So for 90% of that effort that we're putting into maintaining and investing in that technical debt, you actually never get exposed to. You're only seeing that little top percentage, those few features that we add in each year. They're the bits that you see. Now, in this particular release, 15.5, we're actually going to be turning that all upside down. So for this release, we are investing heavily in technical debt, but it's going to be incredibly visible to you. So I'm just going to talk about why we're doing that and what's going to be happening over the next few months. So firstly, we're looking at building a new interface for Schoolbox. So we've had the old interface now for 10 years. It's done us well. It's served its time, but it's time to retire it. And really the motivator for us is that we need to recognize that the marketplace has changed, the devices that users are using have changed, and our audience has changed. So back when we first started, we were dealing with mostly schools with one-to-one laptop programs that had students all had the same computer and they all accessed Schoolbox on that one computer. But those days are pretty much over. These days, BYOD is the predominant paradigm. We have schools with iPad programs with a whole range of different devices in there for different year levels. And the predominant use of devices is definitely mobile devices. So this statistic just up here, this is based on millions of devices in Australia. Just to show you, the dark blue bar in this graph is laptops. And you can see how small a percentage of the market share that actually is. And as we move into 2016, 2017, mobile phones, smartphones in particular, are going to make up 50% of the devices that are being used by users. Recognizing that that's the new audience that we need to address, we're going to be rebuilding Schoolbox to obviously deal with that community. That's our new audience. So just a bit about what that's going to mean and what that is going to... I should go back actually. I'll talk a bit more about the interface. The new interface will be responsive and designed to be mobile first. So what that means is that we will be implementing this interface so that it works on all devices from mobile phones up. Okay? So what that means for you is that all of what you know today will change. the interfaces, the skins, and I know that for many of you will be a concerning concept. So what we've done is built a few things to try and ease the transition. So firstly, we wanted to migrate away from the old way of us building skins for you and give the control back to you to build your own skins. So what we're going to be doing is, as part of 15.5, you'll have a skin builder that allows you to customize your interface for Schoolbox. So you'll be able to upload your own logos, your own colors, control everything within that look and feel, that navigation area. So no longer will you have to call us up to change your logo over or alter the colors. You'll be able to do that all yourself through the admin system. What you need to know about the migration. So just with this migration over to 15.5, we will be, you can stay with your existing skin. So if you do want to stay on that existing Chrome, you can do that. But we do say that's not recommended, mainly because it's not going to be responsive. So all the benefits of this new skin won't be available if you just stay where you are. So we do recommend you build or you switch over to one of these other two solutions. But if you are really concerned and you do want to benefit from the upgrade, you can have a migration plan where we migrate you and you stay on your old skin and it just stays the way it was, more or less. But if you do want to get the benefit of this new responsive look and feel, we do need you to switch over to one of either 2 or 3 options. So you can either build your own skin with the skin builder, and like I said, full color control, all of that will be available within that system. And you can also engage our team to build you a custom skin. So just as you previously would, you could come to us and say, we've got some brand designs and this is what we want it to look like. Just a note down the bottom, remember the old mobile interface that currently comes up when you use the mobile phones? That caused us a great deal of issues. It split the development down the middle. We had 2 interfaces we had to manage, and it was just a pain in the end. So we're removing that entirely. So now there will only be one interface to Schoolbox. It will be the one responsive interface that will adapt to the screen that you're using at the time. So no longer will we have 2 systems. What that also means for you is that every feature that is in Schoolbox will work on a mobile phone. So there will be everything that is currently available. Unlike the current mobile interface where it's a stripped down version, everything will be available on the mobile phone. So rather than me sort of spend too much time actually talking about it, I thought I'd let you all actually see the interface. So what we've done is we've set up a demo site. You can access this now. You've all got mobile devices, I'm sure, with you. So you can all start trying out what the mobile experience looks like in the new Schoolbox today. I'm going to quickly jump in and actually do a quick run through and give you an idea of what you can see. So just so you're aware, meetup2015.schoolbox.com.au is the URL. You can go to that on your mobile phone, your iPad, any device you choose. You can use the accounts. Zed Smith is a teacher, and the password Meetup2015. Okay, so let's go have a quick run through of what this all means now. Also, just for those that want, there's some shortcuts here in Schoolbox Help. So if you come through Schoolbox Help, you can also click on these links and it will take you through into the new system straight away. So I'm going to go in as a teacher. Hold your breath. So I should mention that this is all alpha code. There is going to be things broken. It is not ready for release. This is just a sneak peek so you get an idea of the concept. There is going to be lots of things not working. To give you an idea of what we've currently completed and what's still to remain, we've done all of the submission system, all of the learning management system. We've done the home pages, we've done the dashboards, we've done most of the core functionality, calendars, news, still to remain, the resource browser, and a few other bits and pieces around the periphery are still to be done. But for the most part, everything's done. So now we're logged in, we're looking at the new improved Schoolbox. So you'll notice that it's adapted to a new clean design. It's very flat. We have taken inspiration from Google's material design UI design principles. So we've taken a lot of that idea of things like cards. You'll see all those sort of concepts. We've designed it so that it's touch friendly. So all the icons have enough space for even your biggest thumbs to press down on. So everything's very easy for you to interact with on your touch screens. Obviously, touch is probably the biggest interface that we're now dealing with in most of our users. And I just wanted to show you just quickly what this all means, what this responsive thing actually means. So we're going to just go through a little expansion and collapse process here. So at widescreen, you can see it's got 3 columns, the notifications on one side, the navigation on the left-hand side. As we shrink down, we remove one of those columns and we get down to perhaps an iPad-sized screen, horizontal iPad-sized screen. And that's how we'd see it on an iPad. Then as we go a bit further, we shrink a bit further and we drop down to a vertical iPad. So that might be what you'd see on a vertical if you held it portrait. And then finally, as you go all the way down, you get to what you would see on a mobile phone. So as you can see, all the content is rearranged. The timetable's now horizontal. The tiles are obviously still hanging in there, still buttons that I can press on. The news headlines are all there. Even my scroller has shrunk down to fit into that content area, and my calendar's all still there. So the dashboard is still all there on the mobile phone. So everything that was there is still available as you expand and collapse. Let's just have a quick poke around and have a look at some of the areas and some of the highlights. Obviously, tables have always been a problem for us. So on this page here, you would remember this is the old submissions page. It's still pretty much practically the same as it always was. But one of the things that we can do now with this new responsive layout is that as we shrink down, and I'm going to go on the shrink again, we can drop columns out and we can shrink down the content so that it still fits even down on the small screens. So even on a mobile phone, you can still use the submission system. Is that annoying you? Really? So, looking at a few other bits, timetables obviously completed. Calendar's been updated. And even this calendar that, probably shouldn't work, but it actually does work, all the way down onto a mobile phone. And the list view, obviously. Going into the actual submission system, we've cleaned up a lot of these pages within here. Nice big boxes for your comments, all easily accessible. And of course, our inline grader is all still there and working and functioning. So all the functionality that was always there is still there, still working, but it's just a new look and feel, some usability improvements, and of course, accessibility on whatever device you choose. So you can see this is obviously a big investment from us on the technical debt. We've obviously spent a lot of time to rebuild every screen in Schoolbox so that it works on every device. I can't mention how long it's taken and how many hours have been invested in this. It's been immeasurable. We've obviously put blood, sweat and tears into making this happen. But we think it's an important step to make sure that Schoolbox works not just now, but in the next 5-10 years, when mobile devices rule the world, and all we are using is mobile phones and tricorders and other devices from Star Trek. That's what we're looking forward to now, and we believe Schoolbox is now ready for that future. Okay. Good question. So just so you're aware, in terms of what's happening with the Chrome and the navigation and what will happen. So in terms of this layout, what you're seeing, that the top bar across the top here is your tab bar. That's where your tabs used to be. So this will replace the tab bar. And you'll notice that there's no branding in that area anymore. There is a horizontal branding area over here. And the skin builder will allow you to replace that logo with your logo and set the colors in that bar as well. However, on mobile phones, the experience is slightly different. So when you get down to a very small screen, we don't have room for all that navigation content. So we've had to put that off the side of the screen. So what we've got is this little hamburger. And anyone who's used mobile applications will know about the hamburger. If you click on that, out comes your navigation area, and you can access all of your old links that were in the side nav. You can access all of that information is all still in there and all still accessible. And all of your subjects and groups and everything is all still quick linked via that side navigation. So you can still jump around using that navigational area, and it just happens that on full screen it's always there and always available, just like it was in the original. But on mobile phones, we just put it off canvas so that it doesn't get in the way. With the skin builder, you'll be able to customize that logo there. And also, you would have noticed on mobile phone, that logo disappears, but instead we get this little branding exercise up here. So you'll have control over that little guy there, and you set that as your branding. So just shrinking down the branding on the mobile phone so that we can fit more content on the screen and less branding. It's going to be a compromise, but we wanted to make the mobile experience better. Question?
So is this version going to be up for a while for us to test some of our existing HTML inside before we migrate?
Sure. So just on terms of this version and also the migration plan in general and testing and trying it all out. So the standard rules apply for our releases. We'll leave this Schoolbox Meetup instance up for the next few weeks so you can use it. We won't update it, so it's going to have broken things in it, but it will remain up there if you want. The standard process which we normally do is when we release any new release, we release a release candidate first. We haven't done that yet. That will be around the end of the month. What month we're in? September. So in a few weeks from now, we will be releasing that update. That will go out to your dev servers. In your dev environments, you'll have as much time as you want to play with that install, whether you want to do that over the next term, whether you want to launch this for the new year. You can decide on what that process is. So you'll have this in your dev environment to start building your own skin, customizing, checking out how it works across multiple devices. You'll have plenty of time to test it out and make sure it's all working within your environment, with your skin, with your branding, and all the rest as well. So there's no rush on the update. Question?
What does the login screen look like?
Matt wants me to show you all the login screen. So obviously Matt's the designer behind this.
The dev team have been working non-stop for 6 months.
So with this login screen, you can obviously customize now your own background images, so you can update them whenever you want. If you want to put like an announcement for a school event on your login screen, you can now do that. So this will be completely customizable. So you've got control over this space as well. It will adapt down to mobile phones. So you've got a login screen that will work on any device as well. Yeah, you can also put animated GIFs in, of course, as well. So we had lots of fun in the office making animated GIF login screens.
And logos, all your logos.
Yeah, spinning crests. You can.
Yeah, watch the bandwidth though.
Any other questions? Up there.
Explain what your thoughts are on if we had a mobile app and then what you're doing. Is there a roadmap in the future
Yeah, it's a good question. So the question is, what's the roadmap in terms of having an app and having a Schoolbox that works on a mobile phone natively? Basically everything functioning. So there is a few bits of key technology that we can't do with just a web application. The two key pieces of technology are push notifications and file system integration. So those two key pieces of integration we currently cannot provide just by a web interface. Now, what we see developing, and with our partnership with Digistorm and other app developers and using that, I guess, methodology, we see those two merging together. So there is the potential for Digistorm to start embedding pages from Schoolbox because they work on mobile in the app. So they can take the due work page in Schoolbox and put it in the app. So you would have the option of launching the app and have all the functionality, all the pages that are inside Schoolbox if you went directly via a web browser, also in the app. So that's probably the roadmap that we'll adopt. So we still get the benefit of native file system integration, push notifications, and they wrap up Schoolbox with inside that app so that then you can access all the features and all the functions. Single sign-on, of course. Once you've logged into the app, you'll be logged into Schoolbox proper, and you'll be able to access all the functions, access all the features through the app as well as through the browser. So it shouldn't matter whether you choose to have an app and wrap it up in an app, or whether you just choose to go Schoolbox in a browser. Either one's fine. But if you need that push notification support and you need that native file system integration, you'll need an app to extend Schoolbox functionality into that space. Any other questions? All right, I'll keep going then. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through this system because you can obviously all try it out on your devices and have a play in your own time. Don't bother submitting bugs to us. We know it's buggy. Wait till the RC's out and then feel free to submit issues to us. We'll have done all of our testing by then. So just hold back on that for now. But yeah, if you want to have a go, feel free to get in there and try it all out.
How did they do that?
Schoolbox Meetup. Meetup 2015. My slide here. Okay, so just talking about our roadmap in general, and I know everyone always likes to know what's coming up, what the future holds, and where we're going. So I'm just going to spend some time now talking a bit about the future roadmap, where things are falling in, and where we're going to be looking to do the future features. So this is our shortlist. This is really the key things that we're looking to do in the near future. The top of the list here is an engagement report. One of the things that we found from schools asking us questions about how are our teachers using the system, how well is the system working, how often do our parents log in, what features are being used the most, what features aren't we using much, all of those types of questions we consider your Schoolbox engagement report. Now, we wanted to develop a system that answers those questions for you so you can quickly go in and look at the data and find out how much Schoolbox is actually functioning in the system. So this is a feature that will most likely be landing, or definitely will be landing in 15.5. So you'll be able to see information on all of the things that you need to know about how teachers are using the system and how parents are logging in, those types of data points. So expect to see that in the 15.5 release as well. Another thing that's been highlighted to us is the content editor. Now, many of you know the technology behind that we use is TinyMCE, and it's becoming fairly dated, and we've held back updating that for a while now. But the time has come that we actually need to update that as part of this as well. So we're going to be looking to rebuild that editor as part of this update and trying to update your experience with the editor. There's a few things that we want to change about the way the editor works currently. Embedding photos, embedding videos, embedding third-party content is quite difficult. And those are things that we want to address. So a lot of people ask me about embedding videos into text areas. that's a common pain point, and we want to address that as well with this new updated editor. So we're looking to improve that experience so you can get videos directly into your content areas much more easily. Rubrics is something that people asked me a question about earlier, and one of the things that we're looking at with rubrics is the issue around the points and how they're distributed on a rubric. So at the moment when you grade a rubric, it has points of 0 to however many descriptors you have, and you basically can't do anything about that. It's set in stone. So what we want to change is make those rubrics much more flexible. Firstly, we want to make marks entirely optional for a rubric. So you can have a rubric that's just a rubric. No grade, no nothing. It's just a rubric. It's just a chart. The other one we want to do is be able to put summative marks on a rubric. So allow the teacher to actually, I guess, fudge the mark at the end of the rubric. So say you got this criteria, this criteria, this criteria, this criteria, and then you get a B+ at the end. That's your final mark. So we want to provide the teacher the ability to do that with rubrics as well. So lots of things to improve around that rubric experience. We've obviously got this feedback, and that's something we're listening to and want to embed into the system as well. Finally, sports fixtures, and it feels like sports fixtures has been on this list forever. It's been one of those things that we've been planning to do forever, but we do keep putting it off, and we have put it off again. So it is still on the roadmap, but it has been put off for this release. It's something that we can't get to right at the moment. There was too much work required to rebuild the interfaces. So you're going to find that the version 15.5 release is quite light on with new features and functionality. It is primarily focused on the interface. So there isn't going to be, big glowing new features. There's just going to be a whole new interface, and that's really the focus that we put into this new update. All right, so the long road. I just wanted to talk pie in the sky, future direction, and where we're looking in the long term. And this is sort of important because I know as schools we have to think, long-term future and where directions and trends are heading. And it's important for us as a development company as well, because these developments don't happen overnight. They take a long time to develop, and they take a long time to come to fruition. Sports fixtures is a great example. So these things are the things that we've been thinking about as the future and directions that we're planning to head down long road, long time from now, maybe next year, maybe the year after, but they're certainly things that we think are on the development agenda in the future. Firstly, individualized learning. Individualized learning will allow you to deliver specific assessments and curriculum materials to particular students within your class. Now, currently I'm not sure that even if we had the feature, it would be used effectively. But I think we're coming to a time now where education is getting to the point where individualized learning plans and other types of individualization are becoming more and more commonplace. And it's not uncommon for a teacher. We had the question earlier about disability plans and things like that. It's not uncommon to want to deliver material down at an individualized level. So that's certainly something we want to add in. The challenge will be to add it in without making it overly complex. We don't want a situation where you're having to set work for each individual student. We want it so that you can easily create groups of students, set work for that group without thinking too much and too hard about who that group is and how you deliver it. So the challenge for us will be making it quick and easily to define groups of users and deliver material subsets within your classroom and deliver material for that subset of students. Moving on to gamification and badges. So there's been a lot of talk specifically from the learning management systems that come out of corporate and the mocks and all the big learning management systems, but it hasn't really taken off in schools. But schools have been doing gamification for as long as I can remember. When I was at school, they had colours, they had awards, they had all sorts of little things that they would hand out to students. And it's not uncommon for schools to already have this in place and already have processes for dealing with these in their pastoral systems already. What we want to do is allow that system to be replicated online, allow students to display those awards that they've received within Schoolbox, but also allow teachers to create those awards and hand them out more ad hoc, as well as the more, achieved awards. So there's lots of different things that we can do in that space to present what students have achieved and also encourage students to achieve more. The way we see, I guess, encouraging students to achieve more is providing students with achievements. So having the system unlock different badges or